Oh, greetings. I'm Rick Maue. You know, you probably noticed that I decided to open up this video with that time-tested technique of pretending that there's not a camera running, and then you look up and you are surprised that others are watching you. Now, you know, it's something that people have done for decades and decades, and I thought, well, it's a little bit different. Maybe I'd give it a shot today. But what you really caught me doing is research for my upcoming MINDvention presentation in November. And one of the greatest research tools that I've ever used was this specific magazine. And although you will notice if you go through all of my copies, the back covers on mine are not all folded up and creased. And, you know, I know you're supposed to do that, but to be honest with you, I'd like to say that I keep mine in this condition because I like everything to be perfect. But that's not necessarily true. The other side of it is, every time I try to do one of those things where you fold it up, I could never get them all to line up perfectly, and they look stupid. And so I just stopped doing them. I mean, I think you have to be a real genius to pull something like that off, and that's just far outside of my area of expertise. But the other thing that you probably have noticed is this video is being shot in a rather unusual fashion. And that's a technique that I first noticed, and a lot of other folks first noticed back in 1966 in the Batman TV series. You know, every single time they would show one of the hideouts for the criminals, they would always shoot it with this type of technique. And I found that to be somewhat fascinating. And that's a little bit, you know, connected to what we're going to be talking about in November at MINDvention. And I think that oh, it's a copy of Paralyzed by my good friend Joshua Quinn. Man, just a great book. If you don't have this, you really need to buy a copy. Although that does belong up on the shelf, so we'll put it up there in a minute. But yeah, and getting back to the Batman TV series and the unusual way that this video is being shot, here's the thing. If you don't know the name of this specific shooting technique, you should look it up. But then once you look it up, take a few moments to think about that name and then look up its origins. Because the funny thing is, I guarantee if you see the name, you'll make certain assumptions. And you'll find out that most likely your assumptions were wrong. Just like mine were when I first looked it up. And the thing is, that's what the talk at MINDvention is going to be about. It's going to be about things like assumptions and habits and stereotypes. It's going to be about the process that we all find ourselves falling into at some point, which is, I do things this way because that's the way I do them. And so in essence, what we're going to be talking about is getting a little bit of distance on what we do when it comes to our mentalism, our creative process, our business techniques, all of those things. Get some distance on them. And once we get some distance, we can see things from a different perspective. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And to be honest with you, anybody who's ever seen any of my presentations, they know that I'm always looking for something of an unusual angle. And so this was a good way to actually illustrate that point. So with that said, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you in November. I hope that you come out. I think the lineup is fantastic. There's some of my best friends in the world are going to be a part of the presentations. And I think it's just going to be a phenomenal experience. So I look forward to seeing all of you there. And so make plans. Join us in Philadelphia in November at MINDvention. And until then, everybody, stay safe and keep the change.